he does the old slew foot where he just, kind of kicks the skate out from behind and makes players fall. And he either doesn't get punished for it, he gets slapped on the wrist with a $10,000 fine, whereas another player will get a 3-game suspension. They're completely inconsistent with their punishments, and they don't punish any kind of star player nearly as much as they punish an enforcer or someone on the third or fourth line.
Well, let me ask you a question, because I don't watch hockey as much as I would like to. So you say he's a dirty player. Is he like Sean Avery dirty, where he's just kind of a jerk? Or is he like Keith Ballard, I'm going to break a stick over you dirty?
Well, he's not big enough to be Keith Ballard dirty. He's a small guy. He's kind of Avery in size.
He's just a jerk, though. He's not. I don't know if I'd classify him as a dirty player.
He trips people. He does, dirty like rib shots when he thinks the refs can't see. You can go on YouTube and you can search Brad Marchand, and
there'll be the hockey player I'd be, though.
Well, there'll be highlight after highlight of him just kicking someone's skates out from under them, and that causes some serious injuries. He hits players in the back and hits them into the boards, and that's very serious injury risk when you do that when players are skating for the puck.
So your argument's flattening out the penalties, even if regardless of after the game evaluation, once it's been noticed,
make the punishments consistent
across the board. There's not going to be favoritism towards one player versus another.
That's every league.
They have several days to review this. It's not like they're doing like a snapshot decision. They are looking at this and they can decide over a well thought out time period what kind of punishment to hand down, and they're just seemingly just flying along and just throwing out whatever they find in their mystery basket.
Personally, I find it hard to have an issue with what's going on in safety in hockey when it's a sport where if you fall wrong, you get your throat slit. So, I mean, safety is a difficult thing to regulate in hockey. The blade is a weapon, and it's on your foot.
Yeah, but there's certain things you can do to increase the quality and the cleanliness of the game, and I think consistent punishments when it's clear that someone is doing this on purpose, you should be able to have a consistent penalty across the board, and they should know even before they do the action that if they get caught, that's going to be a multi-game suspension. That's going to be a much bigger fine than $10,000 for a guy like Marchand, who's making plenty of money and who will laugh at that and did laugh at that along with his teammates, who said something like, "Oh, he's skating $10,000 lighter." Like, "Oh, no big deal." It's
a lot of money.
Could have broken a dude's back by kicking his feet out and making him land on his back, but whatever, giggles.
Yeah, giggles. I think the big issue with the NHL is there's not enough fights. I'm kidding, obviously.
I'm actually not going to disagree with you. I 100% miss the days of my Whalers. That's when I will be a hockey fan again. Bring me back Hartford. I'm still sour over that.
Get out of Connecticut, man. You're in New York now.
It doesn't matter. It was Connecticut's only sports pro team.
Well,
took it from us.
That's where I think the NFL should expand into. San Antonio. No.
Okay.
Teams going to San Antonio, going to Hartford. I would even argue Syracuse would be a decent place for a football team.
We don't need any more teams in New York.
New York's got a spoiled of riches. I agree with you on the Connecticut should be consideration, considering as wonderful ownership and Kraft used it as leverage for Foxborough.
And Boise should have a football team.
Idaho?
Yeah.
I guess gotta get people something in Idaho.
A lot of them are just so much more into college sports that I think it would actually be tougher to find a market than you might think, because they just wouldn't have that.
I mean, it'd be ideal, and the NFL is going to have to add teams because we know that they want to have the push for international, and if they want to have any kind of push for that, it seems like Mexico City and Detroit Toronto would be the easiest ones to go to.
The Bills were primed to go to Toronto.
Yeah, but
I would have loved that. As a Jets fan, that would have been hilarious.
But the Bills fan base would probably have burned the city down.
I'm not even a Bills fan. I don't really like the Bills, but I'm thankful the Pagulas kept the Bills in New York.
Oh, I'm sure every Bills fan is super happy about that, and it's probably, better that way, but as a Jets fan, I kind of wanted to see it happen.
Yeah. So, Tony, do you have any issues with the NHL other than they took your team away?
I don't have any issue with it. I have actually liked a lot of what the NFL's been doing recently. I like the change to the overtime rule that they had. I think that adds a little bit more excitement, a little bit more ability to see the players pull off something you may not normally get to see. Because 5-on-5 on the ice, it can be pretty jam-packed at one point. Putting 3-on-3, you really see how dangerous somebody like Alex Ovechkin can be when you only put 2 other people with him and he's only got 3 to worry about in the goalie. So I think that the NHL's actually done a pretty good job. Player safety is obviously a crucial issue, but it's very tough like it is in football. It is a violent game played on solid ice by men that are just hitting each other constantly.
I think the NHL is a league that needs to concentrate on their viewership as well, because they've been on a long-term decline. I think, they fluctuate year to year right now, but over long term, I think the NHL used to be much more popular than it is today.
I think the big issue with the NHL in terms of that is they don't have marketable college hockey. The NBA is thriving because they have marketable college. The NCAA tournament, college football is, in a lot of respects, just as big as the NFL is. Me, personally, I think college is way better than the NFL, but I think having a strong college game is where you see a strong pro game rise. And I think one of the reasons why the NHL is declining in addition to that is because you're seeing the rise in popularity of other sports like lacrosse, which right now is all college. But you have players like the Thompsons who are going to take lacrosse from a college game to a pro game. So I think that's...
Ideally, that's the fastest growing sport in America, but it's
got a long way to go.
It certainly does, but I think the NHL does need... I don't know how you market it better, because the thing is, I enjoy watching... I'll always love going to a game. I think there's few sports as entertaining as being at a hockey game. I also, when it's playoff hockey, can't get enough.
Right.
It just seems like the intensity has been turned up to 10 every time playoff hockey is there. You feel that urgency in the third quarter, team down 1, and they're doing everything in their power to get it just into the zone and even try and hope you can launch it at the goal and something happens.
Right.
But throughout the regular season, I just don't know how you increase the viewership. I also think
it's too regional. That's the problem. Because in New York, you see mostly New York games in football. Jets, Giants, Bills, and the Patriots, which aren't New York, but they're the New York region. But you also get games that aren't New York. Like, a lot of times you'll see, let's say, Cowboys versus Falcons. You'll get the Sunday night game. You'll get the Monday night game. You don't really get that in the NHL here unless it's playoff time.
No, but they have been going to that kind of area, and I think that's something that is, again, a smart move. What was it, Rivalry Wednesdays, or what they were having for a while? I think that's genius. Put the rival teams against each other. It just seems difficult to market it to the primetime audience. What they have been pushing forward, I've agreed with Rivalry Wednesday. I've enjoyed the outdoor classic games. I'm all for that. Put it outside. Even better if you could get it in a blizzard, plan it out. Maybe if it's just snowing, just throw it outside.
Yeah, I mean, the other issue is the NHL is way more international than any of the other
I
big
think
sports.
The names are hard to follow for a lot of people.
I mean, if you see 2 teams from Canada playing in the Stanley Cup Finals, then who in the United States really is going to watch that other than diehard hockey fans?
Yeah, we have a very short attention span for things, and that could be a problem. And I also like it. I don't know if correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no sport that's dominated more by people outside of this country than hockey. I feel like there's a ton of foreign hockey players.
The only other one that I could think of would be baseball.
Right.
Yeah, but even that, you're talking South American, maybe.
Asian. A lot from Japan, a lot from
Puerto Rico,
Korea.
And
Dominican Republic.
Yeah, you could get that. I mean, that's true. But, I mean, that being said, Rodriguez is a lot easier than pronouncing Ovechkin.
Yeah, that is true. I understand that, and like I said, it is a lot more marketable to the United States because in baseball you have one Canadian team. In the NBA you have one Canadian team. In the NHL you have a lot. There are a lot. But the one thing that I would do, and I'm going to sound like the most broken of broken records when it comes to how I would fix the NHL, you have to eliminate some part of the overtime. Either eliminate the shootout portion and call it a tie, if there's no winner after overtime, or get rid of overtime, go straight to shootout. If I sat through 60 minutes of hockey, I don't want to sit through 5 more minutes just to then get to the shootout. Give me the shootout immediately, or give me a tie.
Overtime's fun because it's golden goal. You score, you win, game's over. Shootouts can be fun. I don't like them deciding a game. I think it's more because it's awesome to see the greatest players versus, the greatest deking guys, like Ovechkin versus Lundqvist is an awesome thing to see. But I think that should be more like exhibition, like you have like home run derbies, you could have like that with like an all-star break.
Skills competition.
Yeah, shootouts.
Go to all-star break skills competition to determine a game.
I think you do that for the regular season. And I think that you implement it come playoff time. Because in the playoff time, you're not going to have one of the games end in a tie. If you have the overtime period, you can have the regular season end with a tie, but you still have to have a shootout. I mean, you have to have winners in
the playoffs.
In the playoffs, one way or another.
Right, and the argument that I have for why this should be in the NFL, MLB, and NHL is because they are slower-paced games. I mean, I know there's a lot of skating and it's really quick, but the NBA, I think, give me more. The more basketball I can watch, the better. Because I'm seeing a lot of scoring. I'm seeing a lot of athleticism. In the NHL, it's not always that, it could end in a 0-0. And that's the big issue that I have with soccer. It's one of the reasons I don't like soccer. The NFL, like I said, if you can't win after 75 minutes, you don't deserve to win. That's just how I feel. If you can't win in 11 innings, you don't deserve to win. The NBA, though, or college basketball, whatever, as long as you have an exciting game, I want it. I want more. Like,
that should just be you liking basketball. The hockey fans could say that about hockey, too. They want quadruple, quintuple overtime.
I mean, there's I remember, and I missed a test for this, a bio test, and I feel horrible about that because it was really bad. But I stayed up to watch that Syracuse UConn 6 overtime basketball game. Yes, I did. Do I regret it? I do not. I do not.
No, I remember being up watching that game. That might be one of the most exciting college basketball games I've ever witnessed.
Yeah, it certainly was. All right, guys. Looks like our time is coming to an end. We're going to end it the same way we always end. I'm going to have this week in sports history, and this is a good one. 1917, Seattle Metropolitans beat the Montreal Canadiens 3-1, making Seattle the first American team to win the Stanley Cup.
Look at that. We're just talking about Canada and hockey, too.
Interesting stuff.
Seattle, again, doesn't have a hockey team. So they feel my pain.
Exactly. All right, guys. That is going to be it for us tonight. I want to thank you all for listening. Again, check us out at Twitter at DanDanTony. On Facebook, DanDanTony Sports. Our blog, DanDanTonySports.blogspot.com. Thank you for listening. Have a great night.